All right, we're coming to you live a little after midnight on Monday, December 11th. The Michigan State Spartans are the only story in the state of Michigan when it comes to college basketball. That's it. That's all there is to talk about. Carter Elliott, we said this was a must-win game. We also said the game before this was a must-win game. They went 0-2 in those must-win games. Michigan State now sits here at 4-5 on the season with one win on the year in the top 250 teams on KenPom. That was a 20-point win against Butler at home. You're a month into the over a month in the season, basically a month and a week. You've beaten one team in the top 250. This was a preseason top 5 team in the country. I know I'm being harsh, but I think harsh is the reality of where this Michigan State team is right now. There have been a lot of narratives on this Michigan State team. Last time we talked about them after a loss, there was they just need to want it more. There was the roster's broken. We don't have a center. We don't have enough shooting. There's a lot of things you could potentially point at, including Tom Izzo not playing some of his talented freshmen over veteran options that just aren't producing. Where do you start with this Spartan team after this loss to Nebraska?
I start up top. I start at the head of the snake. And this is probably gonna get me a lot of backlash, and I'm okay with it at this point because I feel like it needs to be said. There needs to be a lot of fingers pointed at Coach Izzo on how this team was built and put together and how it operates. He actually stated in his last press conference, and I'm sorry if I get this quote wrong, but it's kind of paraphrasing it, is that loss is on me. I need to get us right. Something about adding shoulder pads and something about I need to stop letting other people influence me. I need to stop letting the outside noise get to me and just be me. I think he should let the outside noise get to him a little bit, because if he was aware of the outside noise, we wouldn't go into basketball games where our center rotation is giving us zeros, twos, and twos. That's combined. That's what we're getting from our Big Ten program, like high echelon program in Michigan State basketball. That's what we're getting from our centers. That's embarrassing. We have McDonald's All-Americans getting DMPs. We didn't even like play that bad today, to be honest with you. Like, I actually saw something that were good, but I'm having a hard time coming to grips with the fact that in the last 4 minutes of a dogfight, we got out-talented or outdone by Nebraska. I'm not going to be able to lay my head on my pillow tonight and sleep well, knowing that we got outdone by Nebraska. Why is Nebraska getting guys like Rink Mast? You're telling me we can't get Rink Mast at Michigan State? Why is Nebraska getting guys like Josiah Alec, who didn't even play tonight, but I think is a solid big man or solid like little forward? How are they getting guys like that? How is every other program in the country using the transfer portal to fill holes except for our team? It doesn't make sense to me. We actually got a pretty good A.J. Hoggard game tonight. Tyson Walker walked the first half, but he started cooking in the second half, kept us in the game. Malik Hall played pretty well in this game as well, kept us in the game at times. Tough shot to tie the game, but it's just like, I don't know. Like, I think we just really might have to come to grips with the fact that this team's like, they're not it. They just aren't. They aren't it, and they haven't been it the past couple of years, as Greg has pointed out many times. It's a team that has lost 13 games in the Big Ten every single year the last 3 years. So, like, this team just is what it is. They're not it. They could maybe be it if the freshmen are what we thought they were, but one freshman doesn't play. Jeremy Fear struggled today. Cohen Card did one dunky dunk and one pull-up jumper, and that's it. Like, they're not having that much impact on the game. So we're in like very, very dangerous territory. Like, I know, like, I come on here and I'm very dramatic when talking about basketball in Michigan State, but let this be known. Right now, this team is not an NCAA tournament team. This team needs to pull some wins out quickly. And I know I don't want to come on here every single day and be like, oh yeah, the next game's a must win. But shit, we're at this point now where we're looking at our resumes and our wins and losses, and like, it's not too early to look at it. Like we don't have a win that's tournament worthy right now. We just have losses. Like, do we not have to beat Baylor to at least make our resume respectable? Like, we might have some chances in Big Ten play, but like, we butchered the non-conference. It could not have gone any worse.
No, it couldn't have gone worse. I mean, it couldn't have gone worse. I mean, I guess you could say you could have lost to Butler, but like that's unthinkable to be 3-6 at this point. 4-5 is like an absolute worst case scenario. And let me state this. I don't love this Michigan State roster. Like I think you know that. I think anybody that listens to me knows that. I have serious concerns about where it's built. I think the issues with this team are much more what the roster is than underperformance or lack of coachability or we can nitpick and we can claim this should be done or this should be done, but in reality I think the roster is the problem more than anything, and maybe shame on us for not seeing this coming from a program that struggled. With that said,
But that's why I pointed to Coach Izzo.
Right. And I give you credit for that. I give you a bunch of credit for that. You started where you should have started. I'm not here to criticize you. You started where you should have started. I don't think all the fans in the Michigan State fan base agree with you. All I would add to this is, despite all of the criticisms I have of the roster, despite you correctly pointing the fingers at Izzo first, this team should be better than 4-5. This team, like all of that said, this should be a 6-3 team or at worst a 5-4 team. And the fact that the results are what they are, and they just call it what it is. They should have split this week. I really didn't have a bunch of issues with the results up until this week. Like Duke is not a great team. I think they're soft. Duke's better than Michigan State. Yeah. Arizona is the best team in the country. They're better than Michigan State. James Madison, okay, they caught you sleeping. Looks like a good basketball team. Not even a horrible loss. I'm not here to condemn you for the James Madison loss. I'm here to condemn you for this week. This is the week that couldn't happen. We're now a month into the season, and you went 0-2 this week with a Wisconsin team that was coming off a dramatic emotional win that should have been a come-down spot. Nobody was picking Wisconsin to win the game at Michigan State, and instead Michigan State lays a total egg. They were non-competitive in that game. Quite frankly, Card, it wasn't even in question that Michigan State was going to lose that game. That was a 40-minute dog walking that the Wisconsin Badgers came into the Breslin and did to Michigan State. I've never seen that. And then you follow that up with a game in Lincoln where I think there's a lot of interesting elements to pull out of this that I think we're going to talk about here in a minute. But to me, man, Lincoln is actually a tough place to play. Say what you want about Nebraska basketball. We've been there. We exactly one calendar year away from where we are right now. You and I were in Lincoln. We saw it with our eyes up close and personal. They almost beat Purdue, who was the number one team in the country last year. They can beat anybody at home. With that said, they lost by 29 points 7 days ago to Creighton at home. Mm-hmm. Nebraska got ran out of their own building by a Creighton team that we like a lot. Tonight, Nebraska was the better basketball team, Michigan State. And I think they were better for a variety of reasons. So I want to get into some of the reasons. In the preview that you and I did of this game, I remember we made a very specific point to say that when you compare the rosters of these two teams, I don't think Nebraska is very far behind Michigan State. I remember telling you I thought Nebraska had 3 different players that would start on Michigan State. Those 3 players were Rank Mast, Bryce Williams, and Kisei Tominaga. Mast finished the game with 8 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. Bryce Williams had 14 points of his own. Kisei Tominaga had 15 points. He hit 3 threes. That didn't even include Juwan Gary, who had 20 points and 2 threes at the 4 spot tonight. To me, stepping broadly back from this, Nebraska had a better roster tonight than Michigan State did. And I know that sounds crazy, but when Michigan State is getting nothing from the center spot, you are getting nothing. You got 2 points and 3 rebounds from Mady Sissoko and Carson Cooper combined. You're not a better roster than the worst teams in this conference if you're getting nothing from the center spot. Am I crazy for that?
No, you're not, especially with the inconsistencies of other players on the team.
It's crazy to say that, though. Like, this Nebraska roster is not great. Michigan State's roster should be better than it is. But, like, there are obvious limitations with who the centers are on this roster that Izzo refused to fix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even outside of looking at talent wise, just fit, of how the players play with each other.
Yeah.
If I have to see another kick out to guys like Hogard and Holloman who just aren't shooters, or when I got to watch Nebraska and they're kicking out the Bryce Williams, they're kicking out the Keisei Tominaga, kicking out the Juwan Gary, kicking out the CJ Wilcher. Like, it's just it's a tough pill to swallow for real. Like, I was really, really in not a good place, man. Like, this is low. Like, the Wisconsin loss, that was bad. But, like, you gotta find a way. I know, like, I hear you on the Pinnacles, and Nebraska's a tough place to play Sunday. Say what you want. I don't care. You have to find a way to win this basketball game. There was a point where Tyson Walker went on an 11-0 run. We took a 63-60 lead. We had the small ball lineup. Things were working. Things were going great. And then you let Nebraska guys outdo you.
Yeah.
And it came down to it. It was possession versus possession. And this is taking everything out of it. Like, guys played extremely good. We're not in this game if it's not for Malik Hall's play in the first half. Legitly, we're not in it. He carried the team for points in the second half. Mask catches the ball in the post, scores. Bryce Williams comes off the screen, scores. Like, Keisei Tominaga comes off the screen, gets fouled, scores. Malik Hall has a three-point shot, not the best shot selection, clank, miss. Tyson Walker can't get past Hoiberg, which he had done the first couple times and scored over him. Can't get past him. We don't score. We literally just got outdone in a game that we needed. We needed this basketball game in the worst way. Vibes have never been lower. Yeah. I can't remember the last time that vibes were this low with the basketball program. It's sad, especially given everything into the season.
It's sad, obviously, but to me, it's also shocking. Like, truly, it's shocking. And look, I can say it's shocking and also at the same time admit, like, maybe it shouldn't be that shocking. Like, that's I'm kind of kicking myself for how shocked I feel by this, because when I step back broadly and go line by line of this Michigan State program right now, I think Mady Sissoko's horrible. I think Carson Cooper's horrible. I don't think those guys should play on a good team. I don't think they'd play for Michigan. I think Michigan stinks. And I don't think those guys would play a second on that basketball team. I think Trey Holloman is a very bad bench guard. And right now he's like your fifth, sixth best player any given night. I think Jeremy Fears has the brightest future there is. I also don't ever remember watching Jeremy Fears film and seeing a guy so afraid to do anything on the perimeter. Like, I get, like, he's had some good penetration moments, but he's not even a threat to shoot the basketball.
He's in his own head for some reason. I don't know what it is, but
I know what it is. Well, is anyone in this program not in their own head right now? Like, why is every single guard in this program in their own head? How is that a theme with all five guys in this backcourt? It's insanity, Carter.
Because you're losing.
But yeah, it doesn't make, like, if Tyson's having issues, or if AJ's being the idiot he is, or if Jaden's afraid to shoot, whatever, all these issues, like, Jeremy Fears should be chomping at the bit to get at it. And instead he looks terrified right now. I don't get it. And I love Jeremy Fears. I think he's looked good this season at points. Tonight, like, he's not a threat. He's not a threat out there. It's crazy.
He's trying to pass too much.
Yeah. Yes. Everybody's like overthinking every play and just tentative. And I don't know where to assign the blame, because we can't go player by player and blame all the players at this point.
Like, I know you hate this, but isn't that a mental toughness thing? Mental toughness, not wanting it, not anything like that, not playing hard. Yes. I'm just talking about mental toughness.
But if it's every single player in the program, then that's on coaches. Which to me, because we could have said a month ago, AJ's got mental issues, but Tyson looks good, and Jaden looks good, and Malik Hall looks good, and Jeremy Fears looks promising, and Cohen Carr's ready. And you know what? Xavier Booker looks promising. If all of that was going on, then that's an AJ Hoggard issue. The
Mm.
issue is every single guy in this program is giving you their worst case scenario right now, except for Tyson. And Tyson,
And
by the
honestly,
way,
it might be the worst case Tyson scenario. Like he's that good that this is the worst case Tyson.
Tyson, by the way, was really bad tonight, I thought, until the final 10 minutes. And then he flipped a
Yeah,
switch and he was
yeah.
good. And
Mm-hmm.
Tyson still isn't shooting the ball well, which I
Mm-hmm.
would argue. I would say this is close to the worst case scenario for Tyson. But
Yeah.
Tyson's production is there still. The problem is,
Mm-hmm.
like, I think every guy on this roster over the course of the season, if we're saying through 9 games, let's give a letter grade to every guy on this Michigan State program, one by one. You're giving Malik Hall a D. You're giving AJ Hoggard an F. You're giving Jaden Akins an F. You're giving the centers an F. You're giving Trey Holloman what, like a B? Like Trey Holloman's been a bright surprise, I guess. Jeremy Fears, incomplete. He's been a non-factor. Cohen Carr, there was NBA hype preseason, non-factor. Xavier Booker doesn't even play. So I don't know how you can go down the list of every single guy in the program and say they're giving us their worst case scenario and not blame Tom Izzo. Like at a certain point, it is unacceptable that you don't have someone in the program playing better than their worst case scenario.
Yeah, 100%.
Crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so here's my specific fear to this game, because I think coming into this game, a lot of Michigan State's losses could be explained away with, well, they didn't make shots tonight. You know, guys didn't play well, right? Like, do you agree with me? Coming into tonight, it was like guys didn't play well. That's the story.
Yeah,
There
but
was. Go ahead.
but I don't. I also don't like want the defensive thing to get lost in the shuffle.
What do you mean?
Just like I'm saying, like Nebraska hit some pretty crazy threes tonight, but also at the same time, like mental lapses on the defensive end are happening a lot. Like we got backdoored constantly in this game, and guys didn't like had their head turned or didn't have the proper position under ball screens. We shouldn't go under on shooters, things like that as well. But keep going with the original point. That was kind of off topic a little bit.
No, it's not off topic. Look, I think that coming into this game, Michigan State had been a nearly elite defensive team and a really bad offensive team. Like it just a team that can't shoot, a team that doesn't have a low post scorer, a team that has one dynamic offensive option, Tyson Walker, and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, despite that's who they've been, coming into this game, I think there's been hope that like, oh, guys just need to play better and everything's figured out, right? Like it's been like, oh, Jaden Akins just needs to make shots. AJ Hoggard just needs to shake out of his funk. Malik Hall just needs to be a little more consistent. Like all of those things on paper have been like, if these guys get it together, there's still promise that there's a higher ceiling here, especially with the defense. And then tonight, this is the moment that's like a hand up. I'm full-blown red flag. I think after the Wisconsin game, you and I came on here and I was like, I'm not that worried. I'll be okay. Maybe I didn't say it that cleanly, but I feel like I was less worried than you were after the Wisconsin game.
Yeah.
I'm coming into this saying this. I think you're cooked because I think the results of tonight were this. I think you got good Malik Hall, great Malik Hall, to be honest. I thought you got great Malik Hall tonight. I thought you got good AJ Hoggard tonight. I thought you got good Jaden Akins tonight. You got all three of those at once from an offensive perspective. For the first time this season, you got contributions from all three of those guys. And you were trailing most of the second half to Nebraska. That is the most eye-opening thing to me. Like the whole thing up until this game has been, if those guys play well, you're fine. Tonight they played well. And it wasn't enough to beat Nebraska because you have a total zero at center and none of the freshmen are ready. Like that's not changing. And that's like, Cart, I'm sorry. I know I'm spitballing. Y'all shot 47% from three tonight. You made threes tonight.
How many attempts it makes was that?
8 for 17.
8 for 17.
Which again, that's less. Like Nebraska shot 23 and made 10. Both teams shot well from three. And
Mhm.
Michigan State fans, rightfully so, will be like, Nebraska made a lot of bullshit tonight. By the way, that's kind of their offense. Like Kisei takes a lot of bullshit. Like
Yeah. I mean, but they hit some bull. Like they were hitting like banking threes. We got a Hoiberg
the
hoist. Like
Hoiberg was bad. The Hoiberg was
there
bad.
was some there was some bullshit mixed in there. But I mean, they also do that. Like you said, like Kisei is all bullshit threes.
I would say there were two that were complete bullshit. There were threes. And so
Yeah,
you subtract those two, it's a 1 point Nebraska win. Like
right.
it's still it still wasn't like
Can
a
we count Jawan Gary's as bullshit threes? He hit some tough ones.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I thought they were
Okay.
like in rhythm. They were tough, but
Okay.
like the counter to that is like I think Nebraska fans would sit here and be like AJ Hogarth's not supposed to hit a three. Trey Holloman's not supposed to hit a three. Like Jaden Akins is a 27% shooter on the season. Why is he 2 for 4 from three? So, and I get, we believe Jaden Akins is a good shooter. We believe Michigan State has a higher shooting ceiling than what they've shown. But I guess that's the fear for me. Is like I feel like you finally got your guys to play well offensively, and it didn't even matter.
Can I push back that Jay Akins played well?
Sure.
Jay Nate, I don't know, like the I don't know what he did this summer, or if he's got the yips or something like that, but like this man like he can't attack a closeout. He can't shoot a three unless he's extremely wide open, and otherwise all he can do is just get out on the fast break and run and dunk. Like it is baffling to me that this man can't attack a closeout. Like he's supposed to be this guy who can do things, and he can't even put the ball on the floor right now. Like I thought he had a good game. Don't get me wrong. He hit shots 2 for 4 and things like that. Did some good things. Anything looked good after his Wisconsin no show, but it's just like once again, it goes back to the point we talked about last game. Like every person on this team got worse from last year, and it's wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear you on Akins. I think I'm willing to accept that you're right on that. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy that I'm coming into this recap and being like, Akins played well tonight. Because in the offseason, if you had read me Akins' line tonight and shown me film of it, I would have been like, that's a disaster. But after the first 6 games, I'm like, that's good Akins. Like, which is sad. It truly is sad, man. I don't like to do the cross program comparison stuff, but truly, it's hard for me not to compare Akins to Namari Burnett at Michigan because they play a very similar role where they're just like they're the full-time off-ball guards. They're on the court the whole game. They're supposed to be the best perimeter defender, and they shoot a bunch of kick-out threes and secondary ball handler shit. And like if Namari has to do too much on ball, it looks horrible. He's had disaster moments this year. He's also had games where he went crazy and couldn't miss. Like it's hard for me to watch the two because Jaden Akins is a better player than Namari Burnett. No doubt in my mind of that. And Namari's been way better this season than Jaden has been. And I don't know why that is. It makes no sense to me. The only thing I can point to with Michigan State is it feels like too many cooks in the kitchen. But even that's not an excuse. Like at a certain point, Jaden Akins just needs to own it and play better. And
Yeah.
I thought tonight was a step toward that, but it still wasn't enough, you know?
Yeah. Man, I'm bad right now. I don't know if it's felt through the words or the video or wherever listening platform people are doing this from, but I'm down bad right now. I truly am. And this is like red alert, like break the glass, hit the button in case of emergency. We're at that point right now. We are. And I don't know how we get out of this. I don't know. Like I don't think there is an out from this. I think this is what it is. And the worst part about this is, and the only thing that I can think of looking forward in the future is that if Michigan State does turn this around, if let's say they do turn it around, make a pretty good run, get a pretty good tournament seed. I don't know what it looks like in the Big Ten. That's probably cooked at this point. But like, let's say they turn this season around just in general. The season based on preseason expectations, cooked, wash, failure of a season. It already is at this point. But if they somehow turn this around just at this season and how it's gone so far, the first thing I'm gonna hear is, "Oh, y'all doubted this. Y'all doubted the Hall of Fame coach. You did no, no. He put together this roster. You want to do like cross program comparison type shit? Michigan had Hunter Dickinson. We don't have Hunter Dickinson, but I'm just letting this be known. It's an example. This could be a reach. It could be wrong, Gregory. Tell me if I am. You have a Michigan team and you surround him with players that don't fit him, and you surround him with players that aren't that good. We actually have Tyson Walker, really good player. We've rewarded Tyson Walker. We rewarded AJ Hoggard. I'll even go on AJ Hoggard's side on this one. And I don't know if it even works, but we've rewarded AJ Hoggard with 4 years of Madi Sissoko. Like, that's what we gave him. We gave him Marcus Bingham, then we gave him Madi Sissoko. That's what he's had. What's he supposed to do with that? Like, I get it. AJ has his own problem, but like, how do you just roll that out there?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Why are we getting excited about Carson Cooper not falling and grabbing a rebound? He's 6'10".
I feel like there's a broader conversation to be had about Izzo and loyalty and false loyalty, to be honest, because I think
I'm so anti-loyalty.
well, I think it's false loyalty, which sounds great. Michigan State fans might be upset with me on it, but like Izzo is not dumb enough to think that Carson Cooper is like a top tier center or Madi. Like he's not. He's a Hall of Fame coach who has a good eye for this stuff. Like I just I think he has an undying unwillingness to adapt to what good programs need to do in the NIL portal era. And I think we killed him for it a year ago. And I think we rightfully killed him. You and I came on this program all the time, and a bunch of other people did too, of like, how is he not getting a better center? That was a thing when Marcus Bingham was the center. And then it was the thing when Madi Sissoko was the center. And then somehow this offseason it stopped because you made a Sweet 16 and Xavier Booker was coming in. That was it, right? It was like, we think Xavier Booker's the answer instead of a portal guy. And
it was year 2. Carson Cooper is going to be something.
That's even worse because Carson wasn't good last year. So I don't know, man. I think Izzo obviously failed in evaluation of those two guys. I would say the larger fail is that he's getting nothing from the freshmen. That should be unacceptable, man. I believe in my heart of hearts, truly, like you to me, man to man, friend to friend, Carter to Greg, looking each other in the eyes. I'm telling you, Xavier Booker and Cohen Carr and Jeremy Fears should be more ready to contribute than Izzo is getting out of them. It makes no sense to me. And that is coming from a guy, Cart. This is not Michigan State hate. I killed my own coach for an entire year for not playing Kobe Buffkin. Like, in a spot where I thought Michigan desperately needed help, and they refused to play him. And in the end, like, we had to wait a year, and then Kobe looked great. So maybe next season we turn the page. Who knows how this season ends? And maybe next year Xavier Booker looks great. For what it's worth,
he ain't gonna be here.
For what it's worth, not to break news, but for what it's worth, a Michigan State beat reporter messaged me tonight and said he would be shocked if Xavier Booker isn't in the Michigan State program next season. Because he saw me tweeting about Xavier. I literally had a tweet that was like,
Did you see him on the bench?
Yeah, it didn't look great.
Not a motion, not a I don't blame him either. I'll let that be very clear. I'd be the same way if I was him. Fuck that hoorah shit.
The body language was bad. It's a lot of comparisons to Khalil Ware at Oregon. Like it's very similar. Except
Khalil Ware played though.
Well, Ware had a month where he looked great, and then he just fell off the face of the earth. Booker didn't have the month. Booker had no moments. So, And again, it's hard because I don't think Booker's looked good. That's the hard part. But
okay, but also in the moments that he has not looked good, he has looked better than front court options.
What I would do is this, and it sounds radical, but what I would do is this. Truly, what I would do is this. I would start Cohen Carr at the 5, or Malik Hall at the 5 and Cohen Carr at the 4. Either way, I would start the Carr Hall front court. I would make that my 25 minutes a game front court. I would make Xavier Booker my backup 5. I would make whoever I think is better between Mady Sissoko and Carson Cooper the third string center. And I think if that happens, there is a path to Michigan State having a higher ceiling this season.
Yeah, I love that idea, by the way. That's also 100% not happening. It's not.
Only thing I'll say, I thought Izzo showed a willingness tonight to go small ball more than he has all season. Like that did happen. So
Yeah, I mean, but he did the same against Arizona with small ball, and then we didn't see it for 3 games.
yeah, I don't know. I have to ask it. I'm really sorry that I'm asking it, but I have to ask it. Did they want it tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. We said we would do like a halftime check-in. I didn't text you at halftime. I was trying to be cognizant of your mental well-being. I thought they'd win the game in the second half and we could joke about it after. But I did still see some tweets from prominent Michigan State members that was like, the effort from the guards is unacceptable. I didn't see that tonight at all.
No, I will say that this team is soft, though.
Elaborate, please.
Soft in well, maybe not soft, but to me, well, I think it's an indictment of this isn't a good basketball team. A good basketball team finds a way and knows that they need to win this basketball game, and they didn't win it. So maybe it's not a like toughness thing, but it's somewhat is like having the mental makeup to be like you need this basketball game.
I guess.
But also guys made shots. But also at the same time, like we need this basketball game. And I had to watch 3 straight possessions of our first offensive option being Trey Holloman off screens for floaters. So at the same time, it's a shit show for everybody. Like for real. But yes, they wanted it. I thought guys played hard.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, summarize the game for me. I thought the guys you've been criticizing that have been bad and or no effort have been Hogard, Akins, and to a lesser extent Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought you got great versions of all 3 of them tonight, or if not
Right.
good or great versions of all 3. The scary wake up call is you got all that and you still lost at Nebraska. So that to me that should redefine the floor of this team. I mean, what's the worst case scenario for Michigan State this season?
I think that this team is not going to make the tournament.
Do you honestly believe that in your heart of hearts? Like you're placing your chips on where this team season ends. Where are you landing?
Maybe they fight in. Like I'm talking like we need Big Ten tournament wins to even get in the play in. That's best case scenario. It's a very real reality that this team does not make the tournament. It's not like it's not like a foregone conclusion or like it's not something completely out of the realm of possibility. Right now, it is very, very real.
Yeah, this seems lower than it's ever been, just for history's sake. I joke all the time about the last few seasons you totaled 13 losses, right? Like that's my joke. And it to be clear, it is a joke. It's a fact, but it's a joke more than anything. You've had good moments in those seasons. In 2023, your 5th loss came on January 13th, a full month from now. In 2022, your 5th loss came on February 5th. In 2021, your 5th loss came on January 28th. Y'all are way behind schedule with this team. And I know, like, we're not even into Big Ten play yet. We've joked about it, the Tiny 10. It's not very good. You're going to have to win a lot of games in this conference to right the ship that you have done through this point. And look, KenPom right now, I know you're not a KenPom guy. KenPom has your projected record 17-14 overall. And if you're 17-14 overall without a win against Baylor, you don't have the resume of an NCAA tournament team. Like you
Right.
do not have a good win on the schedule right now. And maybe that'll come in Big Ten play, but those opportunities become limited. And the elephant in the room, too, you got Baylor, you got Oakland, you got Indiana State, 3 of your next 4. Oakland and Indiana State are both teams that are fully capable of beating you at the bracket. What do you think the record is in the next 4 games? Baylor, Oakland, Stony Brook, Indiana State.
Next 4, 3-1.
Okay, so you just think it's the Baylor loss and then win 3?
Mm-hmm.
I got a bad feeling about that Indiana State game, man.
Yeah.
Jokic.
I got a bad feeling about any game we play right now. It's a permanent bad feeling.
I'm sorry, Xavier Booker. I'm truly sorry.
It's not fair. I don't care. And then he has to listen to the post game talking about, yeah, Xavier's actually been having some good practices. You know, we're working with him. He's improving day by day. There's people out there who don't even know what number Xavier Booker is.
My man Tom said, yeah, I might have to play Stephen Izzo or Nick Sanders to send a message. If I'm Xavier Booker and I heard that quote from my coach, I'm not at practice the next day. And maybe I'm soft, but that's a joke of a quote from a coach that's 4-5 and not playing at McDonald.
After you DMP me. Like, it's not joke time.
It's a disaster. It's a disaster. All right. I hope you turn it around, man. I truly do, because I would rather talk about this team when they're winning than when they're not. Michigan State fans, if you want pick me up, we have 46 minutes and 49 seconds of us talking about Juwan Howard rumors on the channel. Go check that out. We'll be here to preview and recap the Baylor game next week. Hang in there, Spartans. It could be worse. Your coach could not know how to keep his hands to himself.